Welcome back to the May 16th, 2020 edition of Pro Wrestling Throwdown. This is Luke the Big Dog Williams. I'm Caleb Black. We are talking this week in wrestling. Bit of a crazy week, bit of an interesting week. Obviously, as always with part one, we're going to cover Raw and SmackDown. Raw wasn't bad.
Wasn't horrible.
Necessarily. Obviously, again, the Becky Lynch news hit. Asuka became women's champion by virtue of having won the Money in the Bank ladder match. We did see a tag match featuring Seth Rollins and Murphy. They wrestled Aleister Black and Rey Mysterio.
Funny note on that. The match ended, and a lot of people were confused as to why the ref stopped the match when Seth Rollins caught Rey Mysterio going for the 619. Now, what I've read and looked up on this is that this is one of Vince McMahon's quote-unquote secret rules. If you're on the outside of the ring, a legal man can attack an illegal man. Mm-hmm. But if you are not legal in the match and you touch somebody who is legal in the match, it is ramification for a disqualification.
Which they rarely use.
Very rarely.
But they did call the DQ. Interesting little ending gimmick between Seth and Rey, obviously with the mask, very brutal. Seth Rollins does not look as though he took the news well.
No.
An interesting take, I was listening to Busted Open Radio with Dave LaGreca and Bully Ray. Shout out, if you're a SiriusXM subscriber, you should listen to it. They do a broadcast every day. It's awesome. Where Bully Ray kind of brought up the idea that maybe it wasn't Seth reacting to the loss to Drew McIntyre at Money in the Bank, but maybe it was Seth kind of giving an in-character reaction to the news that he was going to be a dad. And that's how some people took the take, and we're going to see, he's like, it looked to me something Raven circa 1999 in ECW.
Yeah. Kind of like the Raven Sandman kid thing,
maybe that'd be a really interesting way to bring him in as a heel. If we get that real life spin that, oh my God, I'm going to have a kid, and now Becky, she's not going to be here, and it'd be an interesting take, and I think it'd give him a little bit more depth as a heel, which would be cool to see.
The only problem I have with the whole situation is I understand that train of thought is amazing.
Yeah.
Is the fact that they used Rey Mysterio the way that they did, with the injury to the eye and the taking off of the mask and stuff like that. My thing is it really seems to me it has nothing to do with Rey Mysterio in that it is a build for Aleister Black.
Could be.
Due to the training room and Buddy Murphy coming in and then them getting into it.
Yeah.
And they just let Seth Rollins walk off camera where they took Rey Mysterio.
Well,
made no sense.
And they did, the interesting thing with his attack on Rey was that Rey congratulated Seth earlier on for the pregnancy announcement.
Yes.
So it'll be interesting to see where the story goes from here. Other than that, Drew McIntyre regarded the inter-promotional challenge that he received from Baron Corbin, in which he wrestled Baron on this past Friday's SmackDown.
No. That match is for Raw.
It's set for Raw.
Yes.
Sorry.
He wrestled, was it Andrade this past Monday?
Yeah.
It was one of the three in the group.
Yeah,
he won over, of
course. Group, yeah.
They're pushing towards Baron, which I kind of dig. I'm not
lie. Me too. Other than that, we saw Bobby Lashley. Another good MVP Bobby Lashley segment. R-Truth was involved as well.
The R-Truth segment with the picture of him in the championship?
Yeah.
Great.
Overall, I'll give Raw a 2.5.
2?
It wasn't a lot to write home about, but it kept me, there were some interesting things.
Really not a thumbs up or a thumbs down. I'm going to go to the
sit
bar.
right here.
Yeah.
Sit right there. SmackDown, however, was loaded.
It was.
We start this Intercontinental Championship tournament. The 8 guys in that tournament, let me get my other page here, are Drew Gulak and Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan defeated Drew Gulak.
Yes.
Elias and Baron Corbin wrestled in the tournament, and Elias won.
Yeah.
So that's your first sides of either bracket. The other matches are Sheamus and Jeff Hardy for next week, and AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura.
Pay-per-view quality matches.
Pay-per-view quality matches all around. The winner of Sheamus and Hardy will go on to wrestle Bryan, and the winners of Styles and Nakamura will go on to wrestle Elias, then obviously by virtue.
Give me a Hardy Daniel Bryan match.
I think that...
Would love to see that,
if
right?
it's on TV...
Oh my gosh.
Right now, SmackDown's ratings are slowly climbing. I think that's a match people would tune in to watch.
Oh, I would. Well, I tune in anyway, but I would definitely tune in.
But even then, there are Bryan and Styles I'd watch. Shinsuke and Bryan I'd watch.
Oh.
Or you could even get a Styles and Hardy match.
Styles and Hardy match would be fantastic.
Or a Nakamura and Hardy match.
Also equally as fantastic.
So, really, this entire tournament, obviously, Elias, not as, in my opinion, not quite the superstar level that some of the other competitors are, but he's a great hand.
But they're going to be able to try to push him as
right.
such. Which is, they've been slow building him for the last couple of years. They had him where it was like, oh my gosh, he's going to do something. And then they just kind of mellowed it out.
Yeah.
And they didn't really pick it back up. And then, of course, his win over Baron Corbin at Mania.
Yeah.
Which was a match that was basically just thrown together for time constraints. And then giving him the push over Corbin, who is, in my opinion, one of the top heels in the WWE.
Yep, agreed.
Only thing I really think was missing from this tournament is Otis.
Yeah, well, we did have an Otis segment, though. He and Braun Strowman tag teamed together and wrestled Miz and Morrison.
Yes.
Good match. Nice ending with Otis, shaking the belly with the briefcase, teasing, obviously, on Braun, and then, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Quality content. Also, we've got Charlotte versus Bayley next week on SmackDown. NXT Women's Champion versus SmackDown Women's Champion.
Charlotte's really turned into being, honestly, the female version of her father.
Yeah.
He used to travel 7 days a week, defending 7 different Well, she's on every TV program WWE has.
And the interesting thing, too, will be, now that Becky's out of the picture, which female superstar is going to kind of fill that role? And I think that Charlotte is obviously the prime candidate to do so.
Yes, I think that before it's all said and done, I think we're going to see some NXT call-ups, too.
Yeah, I would love to see, obviously, Rhea Ripley also has that sort of very organic build and following behind her.
Tegan Nox
as well. There is definitely some room for female talent on NXT.
Yeah, there's definitely room to grow.
Yeah, but I'm loving what they're doing with Charlotte. I don't think you can go badly with having Charlotte defending her belt on every show. She's great. She makes every woman that she wrestles great. Plus, you've got 3 out of the 4 horsewomen who are going to be involved in a segment next week.
Her longevity is outstanding. I could watch 3 matches of her a week.
Yeah.
And not get tired of it.
We did forget to mention the Iconics returned on Raw.
Yes, they did.
To challenge going forward, Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross.
I'm not really sure which one, but one of them looked like they had some work done.
She may have.
She looked a little different than what she usually does.
I think that they're okay. They're a lot like the Bella Twins to me.
Well, I think the reason for bringing them back would be to take the titles off of Bliss and Cross so that way they can push Bliss and Becky's absence.
Yeah, that's also a very good.
So that way because she's been champion, that she can hold the title. Work.
Yeah, I agree.
And of course, Nikki Cross is fantastic.
Overall, SmackDown, I'm going to give it a 3.5.
Gonna give it a 3.
3.5. Thumbs up.
Yeah, definitely.
Wasn't a whole lot on SmackDown I wasn't happy about.
Not really.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to wrap us up for This Week in Wrestling Part 1. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave us a comment. What did you think of Raw and SmackDown this week? Send us an email at prowrestlingthrowdown@gmail.com. And don't go anywhere because we're coming right back with This Week in Wrestling Part 2.